Do you routinely knock out teen moms? Is that...
Not yet.
Not yet. Just shut up. Shut up!
There's the prequel.
And that's not the prequel. I'm going to say something so funny throughout the episode, you'll be like, that's got to be it.
We'll see.
I'm on my game.
Welcome to the Deadzone Podcast. Deadzone is the sci-fi tabletop miniature skirmish game from Magic Games. And now, here are your hosts Rob Harper and Jack Pike. I am your announcer, William Randolph Wintergreen.
Welcome to the 36th episode of Deadzone the Podcast for late June 2015. In this episode, we have a general bunch of stuff we're discussing, and as always, you can go to deadzonegame.podbean.com to see all the pictures, or you can go to youtube.com/c/Deadzone the Podcast for the video version of the show. And now on to the episode.
Welcome to episode 36 of Deadzone the Podcast. I'm Rob.
And I'm Jack.
And we're here for another installment. We've made it to 36.
36. It's a magic number.
It is. And we do apologize for the sounds, like so.
Yes, that was a car. This is the first nice day of the year in Canada, in our small rural Canadian village, and I'll be damned if I'm closing the windows. There's birds singing, there's a nice breeze, there's some sun. It's been a long winter, and it's, the middle of June, so what can I tell you? You'll have to suffer through. I apologize.
So we're going to move on to some news, because there's quite a bit of news, actually.
News?
And we'll see where it goes from there. So the news. The first news is that they put some pictures up of some of the
Veerman
shredders. What do they call it when they have like the test sculpts, I guess? And they're huge and beautiful Veerman shredders. You can see we've put some pictures up. You can go to deadzonegame.podbean.com or follow us on YouTube, and you can see these pictures.
And you can see why they're called shredders. They've got giant drills and
one guy's got like kind of like a cutting laser or something.
Nasty bladed
but look at the size of
equipment.
The second picture especially shows the size. That's a regular Veerman in the front. These things are huge.
Are they possibly, and I'm just throwing this out here, are they possibly Strider type?
Like their version of a Strider?
Version.
Yeah.
Like half Striders, they probably cost half. Yeah, I'm just spitballing here, but because they're
big. Equivalent to a Strider, yeah.
They're big.
They're big. They're like twice the size. Maybe not quite as tall as a Strider, but pretty close. And then they showed some of the concept drawings. They said they're going to have at least 6 heads variation and a bunch of different arm choices and things like that. So it's kind of cool that you can build your own shredder.
If those heads have gas masks, then...
Definitely, I'd say a good third of the heads have gas masks.
See, that is nice. That is nice.
And you can see in these pictures, all these ones are all gas masked up. Gas masked up. And the first one, actually, they're not. The second one there. The first one there, you can see it. They're just... the one guy's got goggles, but the rest are just open-faced.
Well, that's nice. It gives you the option to mix and match, and plus, when you're sick of your Marauders, you just glue on some Veermeen heads, and then you have some actual nice-looking miniatures.
You had to get a dig in, didn't you?
Is that a dig?
Well, it's just
a nice. I was just recommending a possible way to modeling part of the allure of this game. Rob, are you saying I had an ulterior motive?
No, that makes sense. I like the idea of gas masks on ogres. Or orcs. I'm not ogres.
Perfect.
Shoot, why is there ogres in Deadzone?
I don't know.
There's ogres in Kings of War.
They probably went extinct.
What is that big one? The
dinosaur.
No, that's in Kings of War. That one we like to look up, the Commando or whatever.
Oh,
was he a troll or something? No, he's not Hobgoblin, because I think they're smaller. Anyways, another thing they released is pictures of the Mechanites. Look at these Mechanites.
Look at that.
And obviously you can build your whatever Mechanite you'd like to look. And they have a nice variety. There's different whip balls and chains and pounders. Looks like they're like industrial robots. They've turned into droid ball players.
And really, even just... Oh, look at the face on that guy. He's a little green guy with a...
Mono wheel.
He's adorbs. Totes adorbs. That's what the kids are saying today.
Totes adorbs, yeah.
Totes adorbs. OVs.
You were saying about the mechanics?
Yes. It's one of those ones that we thought was a brilliant idea when they first mentioned it, even before we saw what they look like, and they executed them exactly the way I would have. Just when they were saying this is what it was going to be, look at that. That's perfect.
I wonder if magnets would be the way to go, so you could build, like, you just paint everything individually, magnetize everything, so you can, it's almost like, was there a droid factory for Star Wars back in the day, and you just put all the different bits and you can make your own droids?
I seem to remember that.
Yeah, and I don't think it was magnets, but we could do that with magnets. You build your own, we'll just have like a little carrying case with all the different droid bits, and then when you're putting them together, you can just choose the bits you want to use. Yeah.
Well, you do that.
Seems like a lot of work. And they also released pictures of a picture of the mutant team. They're no longer being called Plague. Now they're just called mutants. I think too many people complain that the Plague wouldn't play Dreadball. It kind of makes sense. So, and once again, it's all mix and match. You can get different clawed hands and tentacles. And
now, what would the backstory be to now have? I'm looking at the sculpts. I'm looking. They look plaguey. Is it that they found a artificial way to replicate?
Yeah, I think it's more like a Frankenstein thing. Somebody started putting bits together on creatures and making them Dreadball players.
So you're like, hey, I'm an all right Dreadball player. I'm just right at that. You want me on the team, but I'm not great. The Mendoza line type. And all of a sudden, this guy here with the trench coats offered me some gills. Well, sure. Why not?
Yeah. And the one guy's, you can see he's got a Saphir tail. One guy's got a Zor arm. The other one looks like, this guy over here looks like his fists are Plague 1 fists. They're like the big, with the spikes on them.
Yes.
It's kind of funny. He looks like that toy with the Hulk hands.
Yeah, he looks like he's got Hulk hands. He's Hulk smash.
I would paint him green.
He looks like that unattended child in the toy store running around, just like, Hulk smash, Hulk smash.
And lastly, for Dreadball, there's the Forge Father Giant, which I'm pretty sure we're going to be using for Warpath or as an alternative to a Iron Ancestor. So this thing's awesome. I love the paint job on it too.
What is it, and where is it coming out? Like, is it just they're releasing this thing? Hey, here you go.
It's a giant. It's a giant. There's things called giants in Dreadball. They're bigger models, and they take up actually 3 spaces.
Okay.
And that's one of them. That's the Forge Father one.
So, is it for the sake of comedy that they chose a dwarf giant and then just made him average size? Like, that would be
No, these are the normal dwarfs. He's big. That's a normal dwarf.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, for the sake of comedy, why wouldn't you just make an average guy?
Well, he's an Iron Ancestor, what it is. It's the Iron Ancestor, you took the weapons out.
A giant dwarf, you know?
So it's a normal-sized human. I understand what you're saying. I just don't think it's fun.
Oh.
So, on that note...
Let's take a commercial and let me explain him again. Because, like, a dwarf would be smaller than a person, but if he was a giant...
We'll be right back.
You have been listening to the Deadzone Podcast with your hosts Jack Fike and Rob Harper. The Deadzone Podcast is dedicated to Deadzone, the tabletop miniature game by Mantic Games. Visit them at manticgames.com.
Hey, this is Pat Lewis, North American Community Manager for Mantic Games, and you are listening to Deadzone the Podcast.
So, welcome back to our little show.
Our little dog and pony show, this circus that we call the Deadzone Podcast. And what's next in the world of Mantic and its games?
We're continuing our rules discussion set here. And we had a lot of responses from our initiative discussions, so we'll go over a few of those things.
Okay.
And then we'll move on to a new one to discuss. And if you do, after we talk, you do have any input or any ideas, do send us an email at deadzonethepodcast@gmail.com, and we'll talk about your ideas.
We'll add your ideas to the melting pot that is this show.
So our first response is from ERock, the man with the greatest hair on earth.
A luxurious mane. If you've seen it, it is, I don't know if it's the product, just
Jack is
good
jealous.
genes.
We met ERock at
Adepticon.
Yes. And yes, Jack loved his hair. He still does.
What's not to love?
It's true. So he had an idea for some initiative. He said, start with 3 dice, head-to-head roll, add your strategist and tacticians for one big dice pool, plus 1 die for tactician, plus 2 for strategist, -1 if you're pinned, or -2 if you're suppressed, -1 for injured, and you make it a command, so it's 5 or 6 plus test, and it might be a little random, but puts the commanders against each other as like a fight.
Okay, so it's you go with the 3 dice. That's on par
like
with the
everything
rules. That's well within the rules wheelhouse. You get pluses for the tacticians, strategist, depending on how many you have, I suppose.
Yep. And then it says, if exploding 8s, and then if they're injured or suppressed commanders, they won't be as effective. That makes sense.
Makes perfect sense. And so what you get is a little more mathematics, a little more like, okay, you have to go down the list. But it does...
Well, it's just like anything else. You're adding dice for... It's just like when you're shooting and stuff.
So it literally makes you want to keep your leaders tip-top shape and available.
And also, you can, as a strategy, you can attack the other guy's leaders and purposely pin them or suppress them to drop their initiative.
And what if you use that card? If you're distracted or tapped, that's got a lot of possibilities.
Yeah, it's interesting. And it seems that's a nice, simple way to do it. Like you say, it might be a little too random. You have to test it out to see what you like. And then another suggestion from YouTube is Clash957. He suggests initiative 3 dice tests once again. But this time add 2 dice to the player activated all their models first. So like usually the person who activated first gets to go first.
Right.
So they're getting 5 dice, so he gets 3 dice. And they're each player looking for results under their command total. And 1s are exploding instead of 8s because you want lower. And he said the 3 dice pool broadens the bell curve. And then more than a 1 or 2 dice, which we were saying 2 dice chose.
Yeah, it sounds like a very, very close, like an incestual relationship with our original idea but changed ever so slightly to meet what you had said, that ours statistically comes up the way Mantic intended 9 times out of 10. I'm throwing that number out there, but
I think
a lot. And he's saying by making a couple small tweaks, it gives it a little more randomness.
He actually did the math. He said the initiative goes 70% favoring the player that activates everything first, who didn't finish last round. So instead of ours is probably about 90%, this makes it about 70%. That's kind of interesting.
Which is what you wanted.
Yeah,
more
around there. Yeah.
Where I was saying, okay, I would like the chance of it, but I wanted to still. That was the intention of the way no initiative was supposed to work. And you said, a little more randomness, and that gives it.
Yeah.
And he's got the numbers to prove it.
And he's got numbers, yeah. See, math. We need people like Clash there, because he's got math on his side.
He's got math and apparently no real name. He's possibly a robot.
And lastly...
Unless his parents were horrifically cruel.
And they called him Clash. Clash isn't cool. Imagine your parents named you Clash. That'd be awesome. Especially named after the band.
Werewolves of London up in this biatch.
That's not the...
Oh.
Werewolves of London, it's like Zevon.
Warren Zevon, yes.
Anyways, on the Mantic forums, Storm Titan, he went crazy. And we'll have a link to this actual post because there's a lot more into this. He created a completely new command/initiative concept, like completely new.
This is the one you sent me the link to. Now you say you don't discuss things on that forum.
No, I never go on the forums because I think they're the den of iniquity.
But, bitches from all 4 corners. But
exactly.
Also, we have our own venues. We have our own ways of communicating with the people who listen to this show. So to add more to your plate, you're already burdened with the social media thing. So I can understand why.
Yeah, we're more Twitter and Facebook than forums.
So we did know that this post was there, but because I'm a Luddite and he's got a lot on his plate, we didn't go on there and make any comments there. We have the ability to make those comments right here, right now, with a lot of people listening. So
yes. So this guy, he created a new concept here for command initiative. I'm not going to go too much into the command thing because it will go into a little bit, but. So he wants to create a new statistic, a new stat line called initiative. So a strategist gets +2, tactician gets +1, leader gets +1. So example, a model with leader strategist simply has an initiative stat of 3. So much easier. It's kind of what we're saying about movement. It should be like that. Instead of having all this stuff, make it a single word. Don't make it 3-2. Make it. But then he said, and the current split command stat should just be changed to strategic command and tactical command. And that kind of makes sense. One's for overarching things and one's for being tactical. Like, there's a difference between strategy and tactics, right? Like, that's a lot of people don't understand that. There is a difference.
And I when I read that, I thought it was good to get those two numbers and put them into one, and I didn't think there needed to be a split. But
yeah, then he came up. So this new set would be it's instead of 3-2, it would become S3T2 for strategic and tactical. So now there's a 3-part command group: command initiative, strategic command, and tactical command. And command initiative tells you how good you're leading your men on the battlefield. Strategic command tells you how good you are preparing in advance for potential enemies. And tactical tells you how good you're making decisions in the heat of battle. It's really interesting, but it changes like completely how.
Right. Well, just so far with the three feedbacks that we've gotten so far, we've seen extremely close to what would have been like the intentions of the rules and well within the rules. A little variation. Now this.
Yeah, he like I'm saying,
this is a rewrite of the rules, and
he goes into way more depth on the post too. I'm just like short forming it here. And then he has a new initiative system. Beginning of each round, all players take a command initiative 5+ test. They each roll 3 dice, adding number of dice equal to their current highest command initiative stat. The winning player has seized initiative and may choose to take first or second turn, so you can choose to go first or not. And then you alternate models who've been activated on both players have passed. And I like that more. You're doing model for model. That makes it a lot more fighting.
Again, that is wildly a variant from the way the game's mechanics originally worked and were intended. And I'm not going to say it's better or worse, but it's something that, like, just for giggles, I would like to try that.
And there's something else coming up too, which is really interesting. But I'll get to it. So if there's a tie, you roll additional D8 and keep rolling for whoever wins. Exactly. But the command, so the rules to how many models activate per turn, not per round, per turn, is you can activate his strategic command worth of models in a turn. So that reduces the number of models a single player activates during a turn, allowing more back and forth in the faction, which is kind of fun too.
Yeah, going back to how many models you move back and forth. And so, instead of moving, okay, I can move 4.
Because my enforcers, I move 6. Like, if I have a captain, that's almost my whole force. It is my whole force.
Is.
Yeah.
You have one command that you could just go, yeah, I don't have enough models for this command, so what I'm going to do with this is just flaunt it. Okay, so go ahead.
This makes more sense. You can only move 3, then it would take 2 turns to move all your guys instead of just moving them all at once. And I think that's kind of neat. So yeah, that's his ideas. It's, like I say, go to the post. We'll have the link in the show notes. Check it out. He's got a lot of more interesting stuff. He goes way more into command.
Yeah. This wasn't a half-assed thing.
Oh yeah, it's like pages.
He thought about it. Possibly, he said he was inspired by our show, but
way more than we ever said.
Way in the back of his head, he had this going on because what he delivered was like, I don't know.
It's almost too much because it almost changes the game completely.
Well, I was going to say, like, I don't know if you would not be better off to make
your
own game because you have a knack.
So there's that. We'll if you have any ideas, if you check it out, let us know what you think. It's really interesting.
Yes, please. We've got a lot of feedback on our first of discussions about rules changes, and I want to say thank you to all the 3 people. This is what being part of the community is all about.
And we'll go on to our discussion here, and we're going to be discussing discussion.
Hey, we're going to be discussing something.
We're going to be discussing leadership reasoning, the reasoning between command stats, cards. So currently you have the command stat on a leader and a card system reflecting the player, right?
Yes.
So you got 2 kind of different leaders. Does that mean that the person using the cards is the commander in orbit, or another ability of the leader on the board? Is it God influencing the whole thing?
So this is going to be our rules changes, or for the 0.2 rules of Deadzone
about the command. Like why do you have command cards and a command stat that's totally different? Totally 2 different systems doing the same thing.
Right. What rules that we've thought could use a little tweaking or have been brought up before, and this one not high on my list, but it does bring up an interesting discussion. We could certainly see the pros and cons of this, and we could probably hash out something pretty quickly that would streamline what I think is not a hugely...
Yeah, we'll go into that. We have some questions asked to set up the parameters of our discussion.
Okay.
So, why is it that cards can be played on anyone, yet command abilities have limited range? That's one question.
Yes.
Do models lose all discipline when out of earshot of the leader, or just don't listen? Like, that's not very military. I can see that for the orcs, maybe.
Plague.
In the plague. Even then, I think the plague are telepathers.
There's an easy fluff way of going either way on all of those things.
Well, for me, for the enforcers, it doesn't make sense.
No, they've got helmets on. You can
They definitely have radios.
You could say they've got.
They're the highest trained military personnel in the core worlds. They're not going to not listen to their commander.
Inside that helmet, they've got heads-up displays, radio.
And if someone's jamming their stuff, like, who's got the ability to, like, do you really think the Rebs could jam an enforcer communications?
Yes. I can see Yindich hopping down onto his shoulders and putting actual jam squishing it into the helmet.
It's like Spaceballs all of a sudden.
Monkey jam!
And,
yes, that threw
me off, yeah. So is it that public bidding on the communications tech has resulted in substandard equipment that breaks down in the heat of battle? That's my theory for the enforcer.
That's your theory.
That it's because they bid for the highest or for the lowest person. So
yeah, they go.
It's like Acme. Like there's a really good company that makes radios, but they're like they asked for a little bit more money, so the government went with Acme radios that just don't work well.
Yeah, we got Boeing here. They've got this is their bid way up there. Like who can afford to get all those enforcers hooked up with this? But we got this. They're overseas, child labor. Substandard parts, not even sure who's really pulling the strings on this one, but we're going with them. Why? $50 each less.
Yeah, exactly. So they've saved some money by making these radios. No, I think personally
that's a theory. No, it doesn't make sense, but we'll get into that.
So the question is, do we need a command stat and battle cards? Should we get rid of one or both or a whole different idea? What is your theories?
My theories, as it stands right now, you're right with the cards and the way the leadership works, where you're able to roll and give commands.
Yeah.
It's two similar ideas, two similar theories, a way of ways you could give commands to your.
And a lot of times they do similar things. Like you give a +1 move card, it's the same as the commander telling him to move. Or a +1. Well, they don't have an extra. They should have a cards that say extra action, but they don't. But that could be a solution, though. Is you just add more cards that replace the command action.
I'm going to say there's redundancies there, and I'm going to say that obvious redundancies. And I'm also going to say there's just a fluff. There's a problem logically why the cards can work across the entire battlefield, including your opponent. On the opposite side of the board, but I think you have to roll to tell a guy that is 4 squares away.
And why do you have to roll? Like, I don't understand that.
So
I think that personally, if I had to choose one or the other, I'd choose the cards and just make the cards more. But because then I like the idea you should be able to tell anybody on the board. Only 1 card per guy. Still have that limit. So you can't tell a guy, you go there, move, shoot.
Yeah.
But you could just say, okay, you're shooting, you're moving, you're doing this. And maybe to use a card, your commander has to be tapped to use the card, instead of just being able to use the card willy-nilly.
Which means you could only use 1 card per turn.
I guess so, yeah.
And your leader couldn't move.
Yeah, maybe you can use like 1 card free, but if you want to use multiple cards, you have to tap them or something. You can use as many as you want.
Cards are short action. He can use 1 and move. See?
And you can do 2 card actions in 1 round.
As soon as you started, I was like, no, this is the exact opposite of where I was going to go.
You would rather have the command action?
I think so.
But better range, or just how is that?
I would retool. I would get rid of the cards. It seems like there's a lot going on outside of the board. Mm-hmm. Are you done? Because I'm starting into mine now.
No, I actually cut you off first, so it's
okay.
We're still on yours.
I think they're getting rid of the cards that come with the individual people, anyways.
Just stat cards. Though.
Stat cards. There's a lot of things they're trying to get rid of on the outside of the area, and I thought if one of those things could be your deck. The deck you take your 20 cards from, so now you have a card deck that has you're not using your 20, and then your 5 in your hand.
Plus your mission card.
So, for me, just get rid of the cards.
All together?
All together. And I thought that you would have... Now, your commander... The problem is you can't neuter your commander, just like that we just discussed with your theory. You can't have him always being tapped. You
have to make it worthwhile that he can.
He's got to be able to move around the board, especially on mission boards sometimes.
Or why even bother having him on the board?
That's the thing. He's still got to be useful, and he's still got to be... And in my mind, anyone on a square touching his square, it's got to be like not a free command, because that would be a, hey, you shoot, you shoot, you shoot, you shoot, you shoot. I would tie it into the number, his leadership numbers.
So like if he's a 3-3, he can tell 3 people to shoot in one round or something.
As long as they're 2 squares away. Well, now it's going to take 2 to tell him to do it. 3 squares away. Okay.
For every extra square away. So if they're only 1 square away, it's free. 2 square away, you have to make 1 success. Or 2 squares away, because 2 squares away from him would be 1 success. 3 squares would be 2 successes, so forth and so on. So you could technically do the whole board if you got really lucky.
Unless you failed. As soon as you fail, you're done.
Yeah.
You roll the guy. Oh, it's right beside me. Roll. Boom, 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 boom. Oh, I failed. You're done. That's it. That's the end of your commands. And in my mind, that means that you can move as a short action, make a command as a short action.
Well, that's the thing. Right now, command's a long action, which I think is not good.
Yes, in my theory, that you would be able to move as
because you're not going to be able to do it twice anyways. You can't do command anyways.
You can't go command. So you could command move.
Yeah.
You could move command. You could move shoot.
Because especially for plague, it's like those. They kind of, your commander just has to like stick somewhere, and that's it. Like
Rob questions my usage of my Type 3 commander.
I understand now, because at first I was like, why not use your Plague 1 as your commander? But it's because you want to use that guy to command your Plague 1 to keep moving forward.
I literally have my Plague commander prodding my Stage 1.
Yeah.
He moves, then he goes, command action, move. And then
until he gets 4 away, then he's got to move up for 1 round, and he only gets 1 move.
It's literally just to make the Stage 1 get into the battle before everything else is dead, and then you can concentrate fire on him and kill him. It's literally prodding him forward.
Yeah.
So in my mind, it would be that piece is your leader. You're not a general with an overarching view. You're not the eye in the sky.
See, I'm the opposite. I'm the eye in the sky kind of guy.
And okay, so there you go. We have
for the Plague, because even the Plague, like we did recently. We did it was on the feed actually. The short story we did of the Enter the Deadzone 2. And I had the artifact actually telling the Plague what to do, like it was commanding them. The artifact that they originally got plagued from.
Yes.
I was having that as like some kind of almost possessed artifact telling them what to do. So that's what I always see the Plague as under that kind of control. That would be the overarching, where Enforcer would have somebody in orbit. Same with the Rebs, we might have somebody nearby over the radios, Everybody had somebody overarching. But you're saying you want the guy on the field.
Yes.
See, we're totally different views in this one.
Yeah, apparently, and I'm surprised.
I am too, because I thought for sure you'd want it my way.
But you did a convincing argument, because you started on yours, and I thought, okay, well, what concerned me was a quick fix on what problem you ran right into. That wall you ran into, you're like, oh, yeah. I was like, no, because that's where I was thinking what I had decided was pretty critical for me to have an enjoyable way to do it. It was a quick fix, and it was right. I said it right onto your...
But I guess my idea would just make the leader not do much. Other than if we used the new initiative, he'd be mostly for initiative, not so much for giving commands.
That's true.
It would actually make the Reb leader useful, because either now she can either snipe or command. She can't do both.
Yeah.
So it would make her be able to... My idea would make her be able to still have command actions with the cards.
And
she still can be useful as a sniper.
And the thing is, the way I was, without the cards, I've always wondered how an enemy general is distracting another card. Like, there's something, like, does he just, like, drop trowel right now? Hey, look at this! Take a gander at my meaty bits.
Distract is a weird one. Like, what does a card do to distract them?
Do
they shoot a flare up or something? Or?
Affecting the opposite side.
Yeah, I think you could take out a lot of cards.
That's so...
I think there should be cards. I think there should be free action cards, and like either like a good one that's actually action. Like you can do any action, any short action.
Free short action.
You got another one that says free shoot, and the one that is +1 move. Like you could do multiple things. But I think distract I don't like. There's certain other ones. Booby trap I find useless. Because even if a grenade goes off, it doesn't really do that much. Like how I don't think every time we booby trap something, we're like and then nothing happens. It's like
I got you to
nothing
happened.
So like there's certain cards, like you say, the ones that I don't think there should be cards that affect the other guy. I think all the cards should be just bonuses to you.
Well, it sounds like we've come to loggerheads here, and I think we're going to need some help from you.
Please let us know which idea or your own idea that you like about command.
And
please explain to us why they can't command past 4 squares.
Again, it wasn't one of the ones that was a glaring error to me, like speed was, that this one wasn't, but there is certainly something that needs to be, can be done and can be said for making some changes. And I want to hear what people have to say.
And actually, to go back to the speed discussion, somebody recently brought up about Warpath that they figured out the actual movement of the bomber that comes in for the enforcers. Its actual movement, if it was real life, was like 14 miles per hour or something really slow.
Whoa,
they're like, yeah.
Whoa, slow down there, Speedy.
So they're like, that probably needs to be fixed. I don't think... because obviously it could hover, but still, that makes no sense. Why would a bomber be going that slow? They said it should just fly by, it drops its load, and you get you get to shoot at it if it's flying by.
Where's the fire?
Yeah. Just the movement, I think when they originally thought of Deadzone, they didn't expect vehicles.
They didn't. Obviously, it was a periphery idea, and that was something that in the future they would deal with. Well,
the future is now.
The future is now.
Anyways, leadership, let us know. Movement, let us know. And we'll have a new discussion next episode.
And what would that be?
Episode 37.
Hey, that's a good answer.
I don't know what the discussion would be, but we're not sure. We have to look at our list.
Okay.
Or if you have an idea, let us know. So, another quick break here. We'll hear from our buddy Adam, and we'll be back.
It is time for a brief message from our friends at One More Radio.
This is the Strike Zone.
Yo, Dreadball fans, the Strike Zone podcast is all about entertaining, educating, and informing you about everything Dreadball. We record twice a month, are an hour long, and are child-friendly. You can look us up on iTunes with the keywords Dreadball and Strike Zone, or on our main website, www.warmoreradio.com.
Enter the Strike Zone.
Welcome back to the Deadzone Podcast. It is shout-outs time.
Welcome back to the Deadzone Podcast. Right now we're going to move into something that I like to call shout-outs.
I don't like to call it that, though. It is Jack's favorite part of the show. He said before.
And you know what? I think if you actually do some research, actually Google this, I'm the one who coined the phrase shout-outs. So,
and he invented sticky notes.
I did. Me and the guy from the Monkees, his mom at 3M. It was amazing.
So, shoutouts. We have great news that our buddy, Tony Hopkins, won the big prize on Beast of War.
He did, and I would like to think that possibly on the last show when I said that I back Tony Hopkins.
It was all you?
No, because I think he probably won by a landslide.
He did win by quite a bit, I believe.
And I'm going to say that if there was a tipping point, I would like to think that I pushed that into the, just out of control, people voting with reckless abandon for
people
our
making
friend.
Accounts just to vote.
Are
you saying he cheated to win, Jack?
I'm going to say that Anthony Hopkins was great as Odin.
He got Asgard to vote for him?
And that's all you need right there.
So would you like to hear what he won?
I would like to know, because there was a metric ton of battle zones.
Thanks for making me beep things.
Just looking at the pictures, I could only imagine. And as an exclusive,
he won what he used. So.
Yes, that's important to remember, that what he used to win this contest, he wins as the prize. So, as an exclusive, young Tony sent us a list of what exactly he used to make his award-winning board.
Yeah, this is what he won. So we got an Urban 8, it's the crosspiece, the X.
Yes.
The one to see through. 58 of those.
Okay.
The big window, 31 of those. Doors, 31. Grabbers, that's the little arm thing, 8 of those. 8 ramps. Tiled floors with the hatch, part of the landing pad, 28 of those. 25 stairs. 14 cannons, 14 radar dishes. 26 double windows. 26 up armors. 12 big holes, 12 half tiles, and 62 lampposts.
62 lampposts.
And there's a bunch of other stuff, but that's the major numbers there. And he said his other half asked the crucial question, where are you going to build all this? He's going to have to build a shed out of all this to build more stuff.
I asked, when we originally started seeing, when he started giving us exclusive pictures, it would look like in his living room. There was a couch on one end, a TV on the opposite side. You couldn't have sat and watched television in his living room. It was that big.
So yeah, we can't wait to see what he comes up with. He promised to send us new pics to show off, And this time it's not for a contest, so hopefully we can show off some of the early designs and work in progress stuff.
Wow, just to be able to play on that board would be...
Yeah, and he's supposedly going over to Beast of War to work with them a bit. Maybe make a board for them, so that's kind of cool too.
Wow. Well, it's nice to know, A, that he's a listener, right from the get-go.
He's homegrown proud.
Yes, and when he's there, and if he happens to mention one of his favorite podcasts and say, like, hey, by the way, I wouldn't condone that shilling. Like, I'm not a whore! But if it happened, I would
On air, you mean? Yeah.
Yeah, it would probably warm the cockles of my heart.
So another shout-out we have here is to Snowy Hubino. Snowy Hubino. And on Twitter, it's Snowy Hubino. And he did his first Warpath battle. And his first game of Warpath Alpha, and he played without terrain and command rules to get used to the core. Played well under 2 hours. And he's left us lots of pictures of this battle. Nice green mat with his some terrain on there. And his 2 sides facing each other. And there's the Forcer. And he has a full battle report. If you check out his Twitter page, he goes through the whole report, says how it is. There's the Pathfinder, or the not Pathfinders, what's the Peacekeepers. I love how the units of 2. And
I, for one, welcome the addition of a Pringles can to any battle board.
Yeah, I don't know if that's just was for eating or it's actually a piece of scenery.
Why not both?
That's true. Well, they have nice scenery already. They don't need that. Look at the landing pad. Look at the painting on it.
Yeah. No, it's nice. Some of the stuff looks worn and beat up, and others, it's obviously he's been playing Deadzone for a while. Really enjoyed both the models and the Deadzone scenery because he's got plenty of both.
And there's this picture is a zombie horde facing off against a Strider. Now that'd be a fun fight. And then he's got another shot of some more. Looks like orcs this time, but I think they're probably representing something else. Probably didn't have enough models because they didn't have orc rules for it yet.
Well, I'm seeing a lot of pylons. Now, I don't know exactly what
I think maybe for pins, I'm guessing. For
markers.
pinning. Yeah. I'm assuming that's pins for suppression.
And Snowy, I'd actually like to know if you could get back to us after hearing this, because we haven't played yet, and I would be interested to know that if you need markers of that type, we'd better come prepared.
Yeah.
We got.
And here's another great shot of a stage 1 versus a Strider. That'd be a pretty fair fight, I think.
That'd be a fun fight too.
And one last shot of the board. Everybody coming at each other. And looks like the Strider got taken down, but look at the Plague right next to him taken down.
Yeah, it looks like both of them knocked
mutually assured destruction, looks like right there.
Oh.
So yeah, send us your battle reports. We love looking at pictures of the fights too. And it's fun to see Warpath on the field. And the new rules are out to everyone now. The alpha rules, if you go to the Mantic blog, they have them up there. And they have some more army lists. They have Corporation and Forge Fathers, and the Enforcers and Plague out. I don't think they have points for everything yet, so you just kind of have to build an army and hope that they're equal, kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
Because they don't have pointed them out yet. Some of them, I think some of them do, but some don't.
They give 2 of the original armies. They told you what the army's going to be, and that's pretty easy to make an even.
Yeah, those 2 were the original alpha that was released from Beast of War had an Enforcer list and a Plague list to play against each other.
So right there, if that's where you want to start. If you want to make sure you have even balanced. Every faction they bring in after that, it's going to be tougher and tougher to do, and
yeah, for sure, balancing will be the major issue. And we'll talk about this more when we get to Warpath again. It won't be this episode. Our last episode had a few errors in what we were saying, but next time we come back to the rules, we'll talk about some other things that are changing with it too. They have a new thing called Firefight, which is kind of makes it more like 40k to appeal to the 40k players, where it's more you're peeling off actual guys, smaller units. It's like the difference between huge armies and Deadzone is 1 step in between, which is interesting. They're adding that 1 extra level, so it kind of plays like both kind of in between.
Oh.
So they're adding that, or they're thinking about adding that. Somebody made up all these rules, so we'll see if that happens.
Now for a segment we call Our Stuff.
And now we'll go on to our stuff. And Jack, I will go first.
Okay.
My stuff I made some robots, and I beat the hell out of them for Dreadball.
Robots.
And I made sure I had bright colors, and then beat them up. So they got wounds all over them.
They look like they're a sports team. Those colors.
They're training robots.
You're not gonna miss those.
Yep. And so I did those, and I also did my whole sphere team, which I like to call the Dyson spheres.
Like a
my
Dyson sphere. Yeah.
So I made my sphere team. They're all bluish with silver armor.
Is one of them named Bucky Ball, your captain?
It could be.
See, I got your reference, and I came, I represented.
You came for it, yeah.
Yeah, I just went.
And also, my first airbrushed miniature, mostly airbrushed. I did some highlights with not airbrushed, but was the MVP. I don't even know his name. He's the spirit one from Extreme, and I did them all airbrushing, so I think it turned out pretty good.
That picture doesn't look as good as the other ones you sent me.
Oh, fine then, jerk.
Oh.
Maybe it's just your TV.
No, you sent me some other ones, like it was from his back and.
Yeah, I know. And so that's what I did.
So you're getting second tier pictures of that guy.
You just have a classic picture of him.
Hey, that is a classic picture. Okay, never mind. I forgot composition and.
You have nothing to say, Jack, because you never do anything. It's always me.
That is true. And you want to know what I did this time?
What did you do this time,
Not
Jack?
a goddamn thing.
That is a lie.
That is a lie. Liar.
Liar. So what did you do, Jack?
I took it upon myself to paint some Asterians.
Some of the Asterians are officially painted.
They are officially painted. What I did was I made 2 strike teams, just so I would paint enough for a strike team. And I made one that I thought was defensive. We've never played with them, though, so I thought I made one that was offensive, one defensive. That way I would paint enough to have both of those teams. And I wanted to make sure that both people could play those teams so that there would be Asterian on us, Asterian violence.
Because you refused to paint every single Asterian.
I didn't have that much time. But, so
I might have to take the rest and paint.
I started there, but as I was going, I was like, okay, I got a little more time. So I painted a whole host of Asterians. They're all in like metallic.
Yeah, you'll see the pictures, but yeah, they're some are like gunmetalish, and some are like not bronze, but almost gold, dirty gold.
Goldy. There's some.
What is that? It's not. What's bronze? Let's say they're not bronze, but
copper.
No, copper's reddish. There's another one though.
Yeah, it's
there's another color, anyways, and that's what these look like.
I made sure to go right from bronze to platinum in various tones, but they're all basically metallic. They're all interchangeable but different, and so they
look good. They look really good.
You'll see. I did the Skyrazor. I did the Black Talon.
Yeah, the Black Talon.
I did 3 drones. There's so
interchangeable tops.
Rob had magnetized the tops. Now there's still one more drone in there for him to paint. So that's.
Then my top will look like your top.
We are wearing similar tops.
I'm saying is there an extra bits?
There are extra bits. Would I rob you of the joy of painting bits? I know how you like your bits.
Cables and bits.
That's true.
But yeah, so the Asterians, after how many years, the Asterians actually have some paint on. They look awesome.
Any strike force that you make that you want to play, I made sure that I painted it so that
you got enough selection.
Yes, and we could we might be playing today if we have time. So
might have some Asterians.
Maybe
we'll see how it goes.
We'll see how it goes. So that is my stuff. Please peruse the pictures, and we will get back to.
Hopefully get some more painted.
Yeah.
I've been painting Dreadball. I'll have another Dreadball. I pledged on Containment Protocol's Facebook group to finish my convicts by the end of this month. So I've been working hard on my convicts.
Oh.
There's a lot of them because they're bigger than my sphere team. My sphere team is the smaller one. The convicts are double that. So there's a lot of convicts in painting.
Well, I will pledge now to paint my Z team.
Because you only have like 4 Zs. It's a very small team.
It's more than that.
Do you have a lot of Zs?
Enough. Not enough. Please send more Zs to me, Jack, at the Deadzone Podcast. If you got a crazy box or wherever those little bastards are hiding, and they're sitting there, and you're like, I'll never play that. Package them up and tell Rob that you'd like to send them along, and I will gladly.
We'll give you if you want to send Jack Zs. We'll give you our address to send them to.
Fantastic.
Because he needs more.
I need more.
Because he doesn't want to buy a Z. He just wants to use all the extra Zs he keeps getting.
I'd like to get some extra Zs whenever possible.
You can probably pop off the Z. Remember I painted up 2 Zs and put them on the same base? You can probably pop those guys off the base. You've already done that. Jack's like, yeah, I've already done that.
Why would I do that? To face your hard work. It's like as if I was going to show you, hey, you just get here. Hey, look, I painted some Asterians. Look, and it's as if you just picked one up and went smashed. That's how
it was already broken.
That's how it would be, just like that hurtful.
It was already broken.
Yeah.
So we'll take a quick ad here. We'll talk about Iron Watch. The new issue just came out, and they're looking for more people to submit stuff. So if you want to submit pictures or articles or stories, anything in the Mantic world, not just Dead Zone, anything, contact Iron Watch Magazine, and we'll be right back.
Contribute, contribute, contribute.
It is time for a brief message from our friends at Iron Watch Magazine.
Do you like Mantic games? Do you want to read about your favorite games in a monthly magazine? Have we got the offer for you? Iron Watch Magazine. Iron Watch brings you the latest news, articles, and short stories taking place in the Mantic universe. Dreadball, Kings of War, Dead Zone, Warpath. You want it? They got it. Ironwatch.wordpress.com. Get it now for the low, low price of free. You can't beat that at twice the price. That's ironwatch.wordpress.com. Download now.
Hey, this is Jack from the Deadzone Podcast, and you've been listening to the Deadzone Podcast.
With Jack from the Deadzone Podcast.
So much Deadzone Podcast, it'll make you vomit.
And now, a review from your hosts at the Deadzone Podcast.
And we're back.
We are back. And what's next on the program?
We usually talk about the rule path. We were talking about the Warpath rules in this section, but we're going to push that off because we have a review.
We have a review.
We got a review sent to us from a review item sent to us from Zen Terrain, and it's zenterrain.com actually. It's zenterrain.com you can go to, and we'll have the links to all the different items here and pictures for it. But we have 3 different things from them that they sent us, and we're going to check them out.
Yes.
And the first thing they sent us is the HAB1 residential module, and they're a European company from Poland, I believe, and it's 9.46 euros. I don't know how they say like 9 euros and 46 what? Just 9.46 euros. Like we'd say $9.27 or something, right?
And I don't know.
I don't know either. It just occurred to me. I didn't know that. Anyways, it ends up being about $10 US.
A euro has to have a
smaller
value.
denomination.
Like what's the denomination that?
It might be just decimal. They might be just the decimal system that they're just point whatever.
But is
so if it's under $1, it's like how much is that? It's 0.45 euro.
And then what is that small? Is there a currency, a coin? Is there a?
Maybe it's 0.5 of a euro. I don't know.
I don't know.
I've only gone to England and they refuse to use the euros there. So
we've just displayed a terrible ignorance.
Yeah. We don't go to Europe. We try to stay away from Europe. No,
that's not true at all. You go.
We wish we were in Europe.
You go every chance.
No, I've never been to. Well, I've only been to England. I've never been to actually mainland Europe.
Oh.
Never been anywhere that uses the euro. They use pounds in England still.
Yeah.
Pounds. It's pounds, and you say £2.40. It's easy.
Yeah.
Euros. Well, that was our rant about euros. Anyway, it's about $10 US. And this is the HAB unit, and I like how it looks. It's got a it's kind of similar to everybody else's designs when they do like little HABs, but I like the little undercut they do for under the stairs. And it also has burn-in designs for the grates on the windows, and it says HAB on it.
Without bearing the lead, once we've unpackaged it, spoiler alert, we've already unboxed it, we've already taken a look, we've already built some stuff. They go out of their way to design it to have a little more 3D.
Yeah.
They have parts that stick out more, and they have even just recessed parts and stuff that just adds that extra little bit of, like, going from a two-dimensional flat piece of MDF to a building with charisma. Like, it's got a...
And we should mention that this was all sprueless. This MDF was taken off the sprue.
I guess I started with the spoilers, so yeah, let's just get the cat right out of the bag.
That is an amazing thing.
It came packaged
in little Ziplocs.
In a box.
Oh, the box.
A very small box. Open it up. Inside, instructions, which very rarely do we get decent instructions with any of this stuff.
It's usually you have to download the instructions.
Second, there was a business card inside, very nice, very elegant, with a logo on the back, and it was a good. But right there, hey, you got any questions? Here's my website, my
Christoph.
My telephone number, everything was right there. And then inside was individually sealed Ziploc bags.
Yeah.
Sprueless.
Yep. No. Like it makes so much sense because why ship a sprue? It's just wasted weight, right? and they just take them off the sprue right there, and they must do it there. And yeah, it's genius. Everything's just done for you. Like, how many times have you broken things taking them off the sprues?
I have large, cumbersome hands, and I'm kind of ape-like in the way I do things that are small and finicky. Like, I try very, and I'm like, it's so nice, this small little thing. I want to love it, and I want to make it go, and it's just not going on. It's broken.
Crush, yeah.
And I do.
And also, the MDF feels heavier, thicker, almost, like stronger.
Yes.
It's very strong MDF. And yeah, so far it's really nice. Another thing we checked out was the...
They also sent us the barracks.
Yep, military barracks, same price as the other one. And we have some shots of this. And once again, super detailed, super 3D. They go out of their way to make it like not just look like MDF. Once, like, we'll show their painted version up on there too, just to see the painted version.
I'd love to see Greenleaf Terrain paint one of these things just to see.
Because it's really nice. Like, when you look at it, you think, oh, that's a resin piece.
That looks like a resin cast. Like,
yeah, because there's bits everywhere. There's little bits like sticking out everywhere.
You couldn't tell me that wasn't a resin cast. The paint job helps. Like, if it was in the MDF color, okay, obviously. But you look at that, and it looks like to me, it looks like a prison. Like, it looks like that's where you stick convicts.
Or like a gulag. But I was expecting it to be bigger, almost like a hangar, because we've seen shapes like that bigger. But this is, like they say, it's a barrack. It's just a barrack. Maybe 6 guys would live in there. Like, you get a bunch of these, put them on in a little military base. It'd be awesome.
In a row, like just
boop,
boop, boop.
And that one's really nice too, and super easy to put together. Like, everything fit nicely. And last is a what's it called? The military outpost. This one's a little bit more expensive. It's 16.22 euros or $18 US. But it's got a little antenna on top, and it's I love the railing on it. I love the detail. It reminds me of Star Wars.
It has at the top. It has those top plates at the like the 45
angles.
Okay, we've seen that before, but okay. But when you look at the railing, the windows with the frames,
and I like how it's like held up by legs instead of just like a wall there.
Like posts.
Yeah.
And just above the door, there's a little light. There's a lot of little details that really make it stand out. You're not looking at MDF as a flat surface that you've built 4 sides and a roof. Really, it's got those little details that I really appreciate.
And I like their windowsills that they do, where it sticks out. Like, it's a 3D element to make it not flat.
Yeah, it expands what you can do and the results of the MDF.
So I think these guys are onto something, and super reasonable prices. So check out Zen Terrain, zenterrain.com.
And we are going to put them together. We will be putting pictures up, maybe not for this show, but eventually. And like all of our reviews, we haven't used them on the playing field yet. We haven't actually had our little miniatures scurrying in and out of them. But when we do, we'll do a 0.5 review and say how they worked.
And we'll throw them up for a battle report. We'll talk about them there.
And for me, right now, the fact that they come pre-punched,
that is amazing.
The packaging alone was interesting, but as a gameplay element, it's not that important. But I was impressed. Having the instructions right there, you open the box and you can't help but see instructions, and just the simple, it went together so easily yet looked so good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna have to give it, and we haven't even played with it yet. I'm going to give it 4 point denominations of euros out of 5.
Yes, it's great, and I can't wait to play on it because I like the size of it. Because usually I find that usually buildings are way too big, and these seem to be like a nice size that you can add in between other buildings.
Not dominating the space, but still giving terrain. And
You don't want something, because a lot of things, especially stuff we built with the battle zones or whatever, it's very big, and you get like one piece on the board.
Yeah.
It fits nicely. So, you can see, we'll show it on a future battle report on the board so you can see how it works with the guys running around it. And thank you from Zen Terrain.
Yes, thank you.
And we do appreciate it. And we'll get to a new review in the future for other products. If you're interested in sending us product review, once again, just contact us at deadzone the podcast at gmail.com, and we'll check your stuff out. And I'd like to say that usually we're positive only because everything we get sent is amazing.
Oh, we haven't always been positive.
I'd say 90% positive.
Well, you've maybe been 90% positive. After some of the reviews, you go, what were you thinking?
No, most of them are positive.
Why are you like that? And I don't know. And you say, you're an old curmudgeon. Why everything has to be so down and so negative? And I'm just like, hey, that's...
I call him a whiny bitch.
You've never done that. You've called...
From all corners.
You've called the vast majority of the internet a whiny bitch from all four corners, but you've never called me. Actually, I think you have.
I think I have.
Okay, never mind.
Not about that, though.
And on that bombshell...
That was another episode of Deadzone the Podcast. And we'll be back. And I'm sure we'll have a lot more to talk about. We'll get back into Warpath and discuss that more, because it looks fun. And a lot of people are having fun with it. So download the rules, get used to it, and then we'll try to explain what we think the rules mean.
Thank you for joining us. My name is Jack.
I've been Rob. Thank you, and good night. Rest in peace, Christopher Lee. No, not Christopher Lee.
Yes, Superman, who died, 10 years ago. Rest in peace, still. Because God knows we can't deal with a zombie Superman. If a regular Superman could destroy Metropolis, imagine what a zombie Superman could do.
On a serious note, Christopher Lee. Rest in peace.
Thank you for listening to the Deadzone Podcast. I have been your announcer, William Randolph Wintergreen. Visit the website, deadzonegame.podbean.com. Email your hosts at deadzonepodcast@gmail.com. On Twitter, you can follow the show at Deadzone Podcast. The Deadzone Podcast is a production of Vinland Old Time Radio Productions. You have been listening to the Deadzone Podcast. And now, a word from the fine folks at Vinland Old Time Radio.
So, if you're enjoying this wonderful podcast, and you'd like some more similar funny, where can you find that, Jack?
We do have another podcast. It's called the VinlandOldTimeRadio.podbean.com. Well, it's found at VinlandOldTimeRadio.podbean.com because it's called Vinland Old Time Radio.
Hence the name.
It was a good catch on the old Earl to get that one.
It wasn't that hard.
You'd think everyone would have snatched that one up.
It just rolls off the tongue, that's for sure. Nice and short, too.
Vinland Old Time Radio.
.podbean.com.
Yes.
It's only like 30 some odd characters.
Really, you could tweet that.
Barely, yes. Believe me. Vinland OTR. Check it out. See me try to tweet our podcast name.
On VinlandOldTimeRadio.podbean.com.
That's the one. Bringing old-time radio to the 21st century.
With style. Jazzy.